All right, Eric and Meg, we're back to you in just a little bit. Here I think is a stat that sort of sums up. We heard Geno a moment ago say, when Justine asked him about his offense, he said, lousy. I mean, that's pretty harsh right there. But how about this for a number? It's just the 9th time in the last 327 UConn games since back in 2010 that they have not made 3 three-pointers in a game. I think that's staggering, right?
Yeah.
That's the last 8.5 years. So what's going on? What's so lousy? What's not happening right now?
With their three-point shot, like I feel like they're rushing some of their three-point shots. They're not moving the ball first and then getting a shot. It's almost like too quick of a shot, like we spoke about in the pregame, and just not in rhythm in the right time. And Katie Lou Samuelson, I mean, she's in quite a slump. I mean, you're clearly not blaming everything on her, but when she's in a slump, the rest of the team kind of, they think she's gonna make that shot, and then they don't rebound because they're so used to Katie Lou hitting shots. So it's just getting things in rhythm, and I feel like she's trying to force things now because she's like eager to start making shots.
She was 0 of 6 from beyond the arc in the game. And how about this? Geno said this after the last game against Louisville. He said, when it comes to Katie Lou, she's not Diana, as in Taurasi, and she's not Stewie, and there's nothing wrong with that. But they don't have that, I think, alpha dog, right? Is that a fair estimate? And you need that player when you head for tournament time who can put the team on their back and will them into a tough win in the NCAA tournament. And the question is Katie Lou going to be that player?
I don't know. I mean, she's done a great job, and she's done a great job as a senior and a leader. She's come out of her shell a little bit because she wasn't the most vocal, so she's become more of that. But does she have that kind of it attitude, like Diana Taurasi, in your face, grab your jersey, tell you, come on, we're going to do this? I don't think they have that. Everyone starts to kind of look around like, okay, who's going to start going? Are you going to, nobody's really like, it's my turn. I'd say Napheesa Collier is the most consistent, but can she take over a game completely? That's a question that's still yet to be answered.
Well, in those 2 losses that they've got this year, the one to Baylor and then to Louisville, there wasn't somebody who stepped up, right, in those big situations, and they're going to need that. Geno also said he wasn't unhappy with the defense, but the third quarter has been an issue for you. And listen, we're nitpicking here. They won today. They're 19-2 on the season. They're 21-0 all-time against Cincinnati. We get all that, but I think we have been spoiled, like so many have over the years. But that third quarter has been an issue. They were outscored 20-16 in the third quarter by Cincinnati today, and that made it a game. So what are you seeing? Because they were outscored in the third quarter against Louisville last time out.
Well, and 53% shooting. Give Cincinnati some credit. They came out and played really well today. They had a game plan and they stuck to it, but threes have been a problem against Louisville, against Cincinnati, and I think part of it, sometimes they're there and sometimes shots just go in for opposing teams. However, sometimes the rotation was bad, and I hate to say it, a couple times Kristen Williams got caught, and that's one of the kind of knocks on her that Geno's had all year. But I feel like they're not communicating. They're not in sync, and they're just not getting out to shooters. But that's been something that teams have exploited in the last 2 games, and it's worked for them.
All right, let's get a look at game stats in their entirety. They're presented by People's United Bank, and UConn for the game ended up shooting under 40% once again. They did own the glass, although at times didn't seem that way. No. Cincinnati got a lot of second chances, right?
And I think it was the timing, too, at the end of the quarter there that they got those.
I think you're right. Points in the paint. UConn dominating in there. They had 30 points in the paint. En route to the victory, the 10-point win over Cincinnati, a far different story than the 82-38 win at Gamble, a 44-point victory all the way back on January the 9th. So 2 very different games. Let's go back now to Fifth Third Arena. Let's bring back in Eric Freed and Meg Colmo. And guys, let's focus back in. We were speaking a moment ago about Katie Lou Samuelson and her struggles, 0 of 6 from beyond the arc. She did get to the basket, made a lot of free throws in the game, but you're courtside. What are you seeing from Katie Lou right now?
She's tight. Team's tight. I mean, that's the feeling here right now, that you could always count on her making these shots. And she rushed one in the second half. We kind of elbowed each other, and you can see Geno pivoted right away. She's forcing it, trying to find it. What was the number I had? Gary just said 0 for 6 today. So over these last few games here, she's really struggled. Last 7 games, 11 for 47 from outside the three-point line.
Well, and Kara, you just touched on it. I think offensively, Geno's told Justine, he said we're out of sync offensively, and you can see it. But to me, the shots that they get, I think the reason why they're missing so many threes is because I don't think they're necessarily the right shots in the offense. It's the first open look or the first time, some of the one pass in the offense, and then they jack it up. Well, why not pass the ball around, inside out, side to side, make the defense stand in their stance and play defense for 20 seconds and then get that open shot? That's where I think they're rushing it and out of sync.
Guys, today we saw, I'm biased, Meg, but I feel like they need to work it through the post a little more. 30 points in the paint, whether it's being aggressive off the bounce to the basket or just simply posting up someone like Napheesa Collier. I feel like when they go in and then go out, more happens. Do you think they need to go inside more?
Oh, I absolutely do. But the problem is you have the freshman Nelson Adota who goes in, and I could see, there's not that 100% trust factor, I think, with her, both internally and then from her teammates. But, and then you saw Megan Walker got in that low post a lot, and good things happen when they get the ball in the post, whether it's to a guard posting up or to Collier. I think that's part of that whole flow of the offense, of getting it in, getting it out, switching sides. But I agree 100%, Kara. They need to get the ball into that low post.
One of the numbers that jumps out, too, and I think this is tied in a little bit because when we watch them move the ball and they've gotten layups and they've gotten good looks, they've missed a ton of layups today.
Yeah.
But today they had 11 assists and 14 turnovers. So I was just trying to quickly buzz through. It looked like the only other time they were negative in that category was 10 assists, 11 turnovers against Oklahoma. That's been an area. They're third in the country in assist-to-turnover ratio. So things just got stuck today. They tried at times to find the rhythm, and we just see watching, we've got one eye on the game and one eye on Geno just to see if Vesuvius is going to erupt. And that's how it is right now. And you can just see that boil is there right now because it's not happening.
And another number I thought was important, UConn get outscored 32-27 in the second half. So that's a statistic to consider as well.
That is certainly worth noting here. You're right about that. Geno came so close. I think at one point we saw Chris Daly holding him back, right?
The human shield.
He was about to
hold him back.
You know what, guys? You didn't see this. Chris Daly was a human top at one point. I thought she was going to spin into the ground. Well, impressive.
Meg was right. There should have been a foul called on Cincinnati on Katie Lou getting hit down low. That's what set Geno off. That was the only time today that I can remember him being upset with the officials. The rest of the day was the slow burn with his team. Now, again, it's all relative. They're 19-2. They're undefeated in conference play. But there are things they need to work out here over these next few weeks. And, again, it's about them. It's not about the team they're playing. It's about them, which is always the case here when we get into February and March.
All right, Eric, Meg, thank you. Safe travels. We'll see you back here on Wednesday night.
Talk to you Wednesday. Thanks, guys.
One of the places UConn has found consistency, and we spoke about this on our pregame show, Napheesa Collier. She's now won a 5 in UConn history, 2,000 points, 1,000 rebounds, another double-double in today's game. She had 20 points and 11 rebounds. It's her 10th double-double of the season. What's behind that consistency?
Well, they need her to be consistent, so thankfully she's there. I think she doesn't get out of her comfort zone. You don't see her trying to rush things and go outside and shoot threes if they're down or that sort of thing. She's slow and steady, and she does, in the post, she works things around, and I like the way she helps teammates. Not only is she scoring, but she passes the ball well and shares it and gets people great looks. She's one of those players that will pass up a good shot for a great shot. So she's always moving, she's active, she's always in the play, if that makes sense, where some of the younger kids, they're just watching and they're not moving without the basketball. Napheesa is always, post players do their work before the ball comes in. She has terrific footwork, so she's always moving and she's keeping defense occupied. So even if she doesn't score necessarily, it opens things up to shoot from the outside. But just a steady, confident player right now.
It's a pretty good list she joined today with Moore and Stewart and Charles and Lobo, and now she's number 5 on that list.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing, to be a well-rounded player and get the rebounds and offensively. Sometimes people who are good offensive players kind of rest on defense and they don't always rebound and they don't always play great defense. But she's in the high-rent district, let's put it that way.
She is.
She's done a tremendous job and earned every minute of it.
I think we saw in that video right there, you look at her as a big, but she's got a variety of moves, right? Down in the low post, we saw that little step through right there, sort of a Euro step. That she's a creator. It's pretty good for for a big in that area.
Well, and we've said it all season long. This is a positionless team as far as you have big guards, small forwards. She's obviously very versatile and athletic, so she's able to kind of do the reverse layup. She can shoot the three if needed from outside also. So she's a very versatile player, and that's what makes her good. And I feel like even though she's pretty tall, she plays bigger than she is in the post because she's, you know, she's not a big person, but she takes up a lot of space because she does a good job with her footwork and getting position.
By the way, off the beaten path for just a moment here, because we believe that the positionless game of basketball is a relatively new concept.
Yeah.
We're speaking back in the office, a few of us today, the fact that, you know, Magic Johnson, 6'9" point guard with the Lakers, right? And he could play and guard every position on the floor. This is really not something new. It's just the way you go about and utilize it, right?
Yeah, well, I feel like it's a little new in the women's game.
I'll give you that, yes.
Yeah, as far as really, I think having the confidence to be like, oh, wait, I'm not just one position. I'm capable of going out. So I feel like coaches have kind of pulled it out of people, and because they've been brainwashed from a young age, this is your position, this is your position. So I feel like in women's basketball, it's somewhat new of a concept, and UConn's just done a really good job of that.
One of the things that we've spoken about at length is the fact that UConn needs to find somebody outside the big three, right?
Yeah.
Not Dangerfield, not Collier, not Katie Lou, that has to step up. Megan Walker, it's like a baby step forward, maybe a half a step back, but she had a double-double, her third of the season in today's game. She did miss a ton of layups. She could have had a lot more in the scoring column, but I think we're seeing progression, right, from Megan Walker and her wanting to be that next option. Yeah,
clearly, and that's the thing. When the seniors are not having good days, and they're going to have off days, and Katie Lou's had this off streak, who's going to step up to help them? You have to be able to have trust in your teammate that somebody's going to help. You can't just rely on them all the time. And Megan Walker's done a really good job, I think, of getting involved with the game and rebounding. 12 rebounds in that Louisville game. She rebounded tonight. She's getting in good position. So I like the fact that she's active. Shots will come. I mean, some of the shots that they missed today were just like the rim was not in their favor. However, she's doing things to be active and to rebound the basketball and make an impact on the game. Geno wants you to know your role and make a difference when you get in the game, and I feel like Megan Walker started to learn the mental aspect of the game and make an impact on it.
How about the fact, and you mentioned there, she's had back-to-back games of double-digit rebounds. She's 6'1", plays out of the guard position, but she is strong. And learning how to use that strength, I think, go a long way in taking her to the next level.
Well, yeah, and you saw mismatches that we talked about that she can take advantage of.
Yes.
I mean, when there's screens and there's a mismatch, there's usually a much smaller guard guarding her. So she can post up big and play small. So she has to just recognize. She has to pick her spots when she can beat someone if somebody's taller is guarding her, when she can post up against somebody little. So use that. She's got good size, and I think her basketball IQ is starting to improve. It's just taken a little while for her progression.
All right, so we're just getting going here. People's United Bank post-game show. When we come back, we're going to hear from Crystal Dangerfield. She was in double figures, one of 3 in doubles for Connecticut. She had 17 points, plus we'll have complete game highlights as UConn now 94-0 all-time regular season in American Conference play. We're back in just a moment.
The UConn Women's Basketball Postgame Show is presented by People's United Bank. See what know-how can do for you.
Gary Apple, Carol Walters back inside Studio 31 here in New York City. Number 2 UConn in action today. Saw it right here on SNY. There's Napheesa Collier. She was just tough out there today.
They got the ball into the post right where she belongs, and she gets it done.
Not a great day for Katie Lou Samuelson, but she does get to the basket there. And then Collier, active hands, coming up with the steal. UConn needs to do more of this. They need to get out and run.
They need to, but that defense leading to offense, they did a little more today, so that was good on their part.
Collier finally finishes inside. UConn would score a dozen unanswered points, and then Dangerfield going to score up and under as Collier scores again right there. Just in general, as we watch the way Collier goes to work inside, when you look at this team and the way they can go through some stretches where they struggle, who needs to step up? Is veteran leadership there?
Yeah, it is, but don't you see how they struggle and then all of a sudden they go, let's go back to basics and get it into Napheesa and work it around, and then they start playing better.
There's Dangerfield, and there's Crystal.
Getting it up to Kristen Williams, and that, again, that's some of those points need to come off turnovers and get it up the floor. Transition was their bread and butter for years, and now we haven't seen that as much.
UConn led by 15 at the half, and Cincinnati just came out in that second half, and made this a game. They outscored Connecticut, but there's Crystal Dangerfield getting into the passing lane and turning defense into offense.
They just need to come out in third quarters, which haven't been good for UConn, with more aggression. They need to attack more from the beginning.
When you look at Crystal and the way she can provide those quick hands up front, we've spoken so many times about her being a coach on the floor, right? She needs to be in that situation.
She is. She's an extension of Geno. She's making great decisions, although sometimes her shot selection hasn't been good, because I think she's trying to save the day and help everybody, but sharing the basketball so well.
Fourth quarter, Cincinnati hanging around. That's Goings knocking it down. The lead was at 8. Geno not happy, but then Collier responding after the timeout, coming up with the steal. She goes coast to coast. Bucket and the foul. She had 20 in the game, and UConn gets the win 65-55. They go to 19-2 on the season, 8-0 in the American Conference, and Cincinnati has their 5-game winning streak broken. Crystal Dangerfield, 17 points and 5 assists in the game. Short time ago, she visited with Justine Ward.
Crystal, this was another close one for you guys. You got the win here. What did Cincinnati make difficult in this game?
They just came out aggressive, and it was from the tip, and they didn't back down. And normally we kind of think that if we throw the first punch, the teams are going to back down in these situations, but we had to play all 40 minutes today.
What were those last few timeouts like?
Just take care of the ball, don't do anything dumb, and score. Defensively get stops, because they were hitting some threes. We had some defensive breakdowns, and we just wanted to make sure they didn't have any open looks.
2 intense games on the road. As a team, what did you learn about yourselves, do you think, in these last 2 games?
We have some growing up to do. We have a lot to work on, and we just have to make sure that we're all on the same page. There are times where we get off track, and we have to make sure that we're all together out there.
Crystal Dangerfield, 17 points, 5 assists today.
All right, Justine and Crystal, we thank you both. We've got some growing up to do. I thought that was a pretty bold statement right there.
You know what I like, though? There's some strong words coming from the big three. There's accountability there.
Yes.
So that's what Geno wants them to be, accountable and be able to look in the mirror and evaluate. And that's not an easy thing to do, to say, I could do better, I could do more. So you like to see that from the top down, but then you have to get things done.
I think it was interesting when Geno a few games ago said that they've got to get some more production out of Crystal Dangerfield. He sort of unleashed her a little bit, right? she's been a different...
You give me the green light, I'm shooting.
Exactly. She's been a different player in many ways ever since then.
Yeah, good and bad. Like, sometimes I feel like she's trying to take over, which you don't blame her, right? And when things aren't going well and Katie's not shooting well, you say, all right, well, let me try. And sometimes I think it gets too rushed. And Geno alluded to the fact that he wants the game to be quick, but not fast. He wants to push tempo, but he doesn't want to get fast and out of control that you're taking the first shot. So I think there's a little of that going on where they're getting a little crazy, and Crystal feels like she has to take over, and she's not shooting in rhythm. So that, but when she has shot for the team, she's made some really good ones at really, really important times.
By the way, it was John Wooden who said, be quick, but don't hurry. That was one of his. Bill Walton quotes that all the time. And I think there's a lot to be said for that, right? I mean, when you think about that statement, be quick, be efficient, but do it in a way where you're not getting ahead of yourself.
I'm saying the same things John Wooden.
Exactly.
That's pretty great.
You have really stepped up your game. Hey.
But it's true. It's true. I mean, you want to make quick moves, fast, but not like you don't know what's going on.
You don't want to be out of control.
Yeah. It's really true.
How about the defense we saw out of Crystal and the ability to read, those passing lanes and to get in there and then get it back the other way.
And then quick. She's so quick when she goes down the other end. That's why you really want to see defense leading to offense. You want to reward players like her that deny. The other night against Louisville, Asia Durr all over the floor. I mean, she was like second skin to her. Give Crystal a lot of credit. She can't do it by herself. You try to be all over the place with that one player, but you also need people to step up if things happen and they come off screens. But you have to that kid works hard. She works very hard, and there's no taking that away from her. It's just kind of figuring out the chemistry here, because they're kind of not in sync, and they're all kind of individually doing good things, but now you got to bring them together.
You and I have been together for a number of years doing this, and, I think it's been a lot of strawberries and peaches, and everything's been rosy, and here's a team that's 19-2, and we're being pretty critical here. But the coach is the one who said they were lousy, right? So we're not saying anything he didn't say, but the bench has been a big issue all season. They were outscored today by Cincinnati's bench 21-2. And that's a big issue right there.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have somebody who's going to step up from the bench. You have Kyla Irwin that works hard, but I don't consider her a big offensive threat. She keeps things strong and steady. Olivia Nelson-Adota, I think when she gets in there, she really needs to go up strong. And I think she could be some fouls in her favor when she goes up. But somebody else on the bench has to give productive minutes. What's going to happen if somebody gets into foul trouble? You know, thankfully, this UConn team is really good at not fouling. What if somebody gets in foul trouble? What if somebody gets hurt? Somebody on the bench has to take it upon themselves to bring more production, to give some people a break. I mean, also, this team is in really good shape. Think about how much they have to work because they don't have a lot of subs coming in and out. They work really hard. Geno needs to trust somebody so he can get some subs in there, and that means somebody needs to have some offense when they go.
Right, that's earning Geno's trust to get on the floor. Didn't get a field goal from their bench. The 2 points came at the free throw line by Olivia Nelson-Adota. So all of that having been said, UConn gets the win 65-55. They beat Cincinnati on the road. Much more to come here on the People's United Bank postgame show. When we come back, we're going to have the drive of the game for the Huskies. Plus, going to take a look ahead. What's coming up next? They'll play Wednesday against East Carolina. But before we head for break, let's get a look at today's rebounding leaders. It's lighting up the boards. Presented by Connecticut Lighting Centers. Napheesa Collier in double figures rebounding-wise, as was Megan Walker. Kara and I, we're coming right back in just a moment. Time now for the drive of the game. It's presented by Subaru. Katie Lou Samuelson uses a Napheesa Collier screen. Getting to the basket right there. Let's watch it again. She didn't have a great day. She only had a dozen points, but early on, attacking the tin. It is our Subaru drive of the game as Katie Lou and the Huskies get the win over Cincinnati, 65-55. So it's back to the lab now for Geno and company as they get ready for East Carolina on Wednesday. You've been around this program a long time. You've been through the wrath of Geno when things are not going well. Yeah. What's it going to be like in practice when they get there?
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting. I mean, he was happy. Like he said, you know, you have to grit out some of these games, right? They're going to be a grind. They're not all going to be easy. So that's kind of good for them to work through that. However, in practice, I'm sure they'll work on a lot of offense, a lot of defense, a lot of rebounding. I think they'll work on a little of everything. But when Geno gets mad, it's kind of you have to be able to handle it mentally. He's going to challenge you, and what he wants is he's going to challenge you so much. He wants the team to kind of come together and be like, we'll show him. So I think it's kind of trying to motivate at this point in the season, which you shouldn't really have to, but he's trying to figure out the chemistry.
One of the things that was an issue in that loss to Louisville was they only got to the free throw line a dozen times, and they made 7 of 12 free throws. Different story in this game, 21 of 24. And even though Katie Lou didn't have a strong game, we saw that drive of the game right there, she attacked the tin, right? Yeah. And that leads to more chances at the free throw line when you're not just standing outside shooting three-pointers or not attacking. So do we need to see more of that from everybody?
Yes, absolutely. And that was one of his complaints with Kristen Williams in the Louisville game. You need to attack, get their best players out of the game. You need to get to the free throw line. So many good things happen when you attack. You're going to score, you're going to go to the free throw line, the other team's going to get into foul trouble. And I feel like that was a point of emphasis today that they did a decent job on. Here we are, you know, kind of nitpicking all the things they didn't do. I thought they attacked the basket a little more, but their shot is still off. So knowing, I think, going into the post, attacking the basket, doing those things. I mean, if they don't make their free throws tonight, if they don't go to the free throw line, they don't win this game. So obviously, when shots aren't falling, you definitely need to be aggressive and go to the basket.
Does there need to be more dribble penetration and then dump-offs? I mean, do we need to see more of the guards getting into the teeth of the opposing defense and then creating for the bigs?
That's the other thing that it does, being aggressive and penetrating to the basket. It opens up things on the outside. So then Katie Lou doesn't have to feel like pressured to shoot. She has a little extra second because they've drawn in the defense. Now they can kick it out to her and she can shoot. I feel bad for Katie Lou Samuelson right now. I mean, people are putting a lot of pressure on. This is a kid. This is a college kid, you know, and she's doing the best she can, and she's just in a slump. Sometimes the things just don't fall for you, but finding ways to make it work, you know, setting screens, doing other things, and eventually your shot will fall. But I think it is important to penetrate to the basket for several reasons, and one of them being it's going to open things up on the outside. Before we head for break, I think you make an interesting point right there. You're like, she's a kid, she's a college student, right? But when you play big-time college sports, right, you're counted upon
to play at a very high level, especially when you're the #1 player coming out of high school, which she was, right, in Southern California. You've been through
when
that.
You're playing at UConn.
At UConn, right? When you're playing at a high-level program, you're expected to produce. How difficult is that on a player of her ilk? She hears it, she sees it, she knows we're here talking about her, she knows it's written about, and the national media discusses it as well. So how difficult is that for a 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old young lady?
Well, I guess that's what you sign up for, right?
Right, yeah.
You know going in, it's not going to be easy. Geno's going to try to pull the best out of you, but he's going to be tough on you. You know what you're signing up for, but it's hard to figure out and to get better, the progression of it. We see, for example, Kristen Williams, right? She's a great player. In high school, she was the best player coming out of high school. You don't see that yet, but hopefully you'll see it eventually. But learning to deal with the pressure is one of the hardest adjustments to college basketball. Forget UConn college basketball. There's a lot of pressure, but that's what you signed up for. Competitive people love it. Katie Lou Samuelson, if nothing else, she is competitive, and that's what she wants to do. She wants to be challenged. It's hard, but look at the reward. It's worth every ounce of sweat and mental abuse that you get.
And yes, and there's plenty of mental abuse. You know that firsthand.
Yes.
She would love nothing more than to leave UConn, bookending, right, as a national champion, her freshman year and then her senior year. Not finished yet here, People's United Bank post-game show. When we come back, the sights and the sounds of UConn's 10-point victory over the Cincinnati Bearcats in our nation's heartland. You can call Cincinnati the nation? Yeah, I think so.
I go there.
Midwest. Back in a moment.
The UConn Women's Basketball Postgame Show is presented by People's United Bank. See what know-how can do for you.
It's Gary back alongside Kara. UConn only put 3 in double figures today, but Napheesa Collier was atop that list. She had 20 points in the game, played all 40 minutes as UConn gets the win once again to go to 19-2 on the season and still unbeaten in conference play at 8-0. Immediately following today's game, Justine Ward spoke with the head coach, Geno.
Geno, you got the win. What do you take away from this game as to where your team is at right now?
We won. Other than that, there is nothing else to take away from it. We won. And sometimes, you know, you have to win when it looks ugly, and you have to win when you just don't play well, and you have to win when no matter what you try to do, it doesn't work. So you got to find out ways to win. Obviously, it wasn't as easy as it was last time to beat these guys, but it's not supposed to be, right?
Offensively, how did things look to you in the second half?
Lousy. I mean, we're just out of sync. And I don't know how many layups we missed. I don't know how many wide open shots we missed. But we're just not in a really good place right now offensively. I mean, our defense was pretty good. I mean, I don't know how many points they got. They got 55. If we can't get to 80, then there's something wrong with our offense, obviously, and we got to go back and try to fix it.
Well, Geno, you had 2 tough games on the road now. What do you approach in practice in these coming days before your next game?
What do we approach? We got to get ready for East Carolina. So that's what our approach is going to be.
Thanks, Geno.
One game at a time.
All right, so let's recap there. There's something wrong with our offense. We've got to fix it. We won the game. Aside from that, there's nothing else to say. And then just a simple one-word answer, we were lousy. So he was in a pretty good mood following
Doesn't hold
game.
back, right?
Yeah.
He's honest, so.
What do you make of it?
I make it, you know, Geno being Geno. He's tough. He's going to evaluate. That's how you get better, attention to detail, that sort of thing. And the good thing is people like Katie Lou and Napheesa, they take it upon themselves. They're competitive. They say that's not acceptable. So it's not all Geno having to tell him that. That's Geno telling the media that. They know what they need to improve on, and they're going to go back to the drawing board a little on their offense. Now, still one of the best offensive teams in women's basketball, but still only 65 points today, and that's not a lot for this UConn team. And they didn't have a lot of assists, which this is the first time in a long time I can think of a team that had more assists than UConn. UConn with 11, Cincinnati with 13, so they didn't share the ball. And what that tells me is a lot of one-on-one stuff, which is okay sometimes when they're going to the rim, and a lot of trying to take over and shoot shots not in the offense. So, you know, those things have to be tweaked.
Back-to-back games in which UConn has shot under 40%. As we get a look right now, the upcoming schedule for the Huskies. They're headed home now. 3 games in succession, East Carolina, Temple, and South Carolina. Then it's back on the road. Go to take on Central Florida before they come back home to face off against Memphis. And you can catch UConn's next game right here on SNY. Huskies go to play host to the Pirates on Wednesday. Kara and I get it going. UConn women's basketball pregame show beginning at 6:30. And so that's going to wrap up our coverage of UConn basketball on this early Saturday. UConn winning it by 10 on the way out the door. The sights and sounds of UConn's win and then the Geno Auriemma show. Enjoy.
Williams cuts to the basket for 2. Sifa goes down. Samuelson all the way to the basket. Dangerfield calls for it with the shot clock winding down. She drains a 3. And a good find by Dangerfield to Collier for 2. Collier with a beautiful move to get to 2,000 in her UConn career. And UConn holds on here in Cincinnati to win it 65-55 the final.